Well, good Wednesday morning, everybody. It is July 14th, and it is a Wednesday, as I said, and we are getting a little bit of a chance for rain again today. So praise God for that. We can use all the moisture we can get to try to get caught up. It saves on my water bill as well. Don't have to water my garden as much. So at any rate, today we're going to jump into chapter 27. Remember that, first of all, I do want to thank Clint for filling in for me yesterday while I had an appointment in the morning, and I hope that you've all enjoyed Clint's devotion. But we're going to pick up where we left off on Monday. We left off at the end of 26 with Paul having appeared before Agrippa and Bernice and Festus and all of them, and they had walked away from it saying, you know, if he wouldn't have appealed to Caesar, we could let this guy go. But Paul is being sent on to Rome, and that's where we are picking up today. He is going to start sailing to Rome. A little too late in the season, though, it seems. It would have been better had they gotten off just a wee bit earlier, because they're going to run into some trouble, as we know if we've read the chapter, the book of Acts. So Paul sails for Rome is where we're picking up in Acts chapter 27. We're going to look at the first 12 verses, 1 through 12 this morning, and we talk about what's going on here. Now, there are a lot of names in here I will probably butcher, because I'm very talented at one thing, and that is butchering names. So let's take a look here. Acts 27, 1 through 12. When it was decided that we were to sail for Italy, they transferred Paul and some other prisoners to a centurion of the Augustan Cohort named Julius. Embarking on a ship for Adramyttium that was about to set sail to the ports along the coast of Asia, we put to sea, accompanied by Aristarchus, a Macedonian from Thessalonica. The next day we put in at Sidon, and Julius treated Paul kindly and allowed him to go to his friends to be cared for. Putting out to sea from there, we sailed under the lee of Cyprus, because the winds were against us. After we had sailed across the sea that is off of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we came to Myra in Lasea. There the centurion found an Alexandrian ship bound for Italy and put us on board. We sailed slowly for a number of days and arrived with difficulty off Cnidus. And as the wind was against us, we sailed under the lee of Crete off Salmone. Sailing past it with difficulty, we came to a place called Fair Havens near the city of Lasea. Since much time had been lost and sailing, since much time had been lost and sailing was now dangerous because of the fast, even the fast had already gone by, Paul advised them, saying, Sirs, I can see that the voyage will be with danger and much heavy loss, not only of the cargo and the ship, but also of our lives. But the centurion paid more attention to the pilot and to the owner of the ship than to what Paul said. Since the harbor was not suitable for spending the winter, the majority was in favor of putting to sea from there on the chance that somehow they would reach Phoenix, where they would spend the winter. It was a harbor of Crete facing southwest and northwest. Okay. So Paul is setting off. That he is taking a group of people with him, though, that are accompanying him to care for him, which is amazing, really, that they don't just have Paul in chains. They are giving Paul some kindness. And in fact, the Julius, the centurion, shows him so much kindness that he allows him to go when they're in Sidon, and he allowed him to go and be with some friends, apparently on shore. That's crazy. But then they put out again to sea when they were ready and when they were prepared for that. And eventually they get to the point where they've lost so much time that, again, like I said, they've set off a little too late. The weather's starting to turn adverse. The weather can be pretty bad sailing across the sea there during the winter months, and it can come quite early, is my understanding, where they don't travel on the sea as much because of the danger with the winds and whatnot. So they've lost much time, and then Paul is warning them, guys, this is not a good plan, but they don't pay any heed to Paul, and one wonders why they should, since he's a prisoner and he's not a sailor. But the other side of the coin is that we know from Paul's other letters that he has been shipwrecked a number of times. Doesn't talk about that in Acts, but in his letters he does. So Paul's experienced this thing about putting out when the weather's a little adverse and taking your chances, and he's ended up shipwrecked before. And so lesson learned there is don't sail with Paul. That's what I think. But so in all seriousness, they don't listen to him. And I guess the thing we can apply to our own lives when we take from that is, there are times in our lives when we can, because of our experiences, because of our life experiences, even because of our faith and our knowledge of God, we can see that this path that loved ones or even churches are wanting to take, that this is not a good path, that there's going to be a bad outcome, that there's going to be trouble ahead because of this, and we are disregarded by those that we are trying to counsel about it and to advise and to warn about it, but we are disregarded by them because of this single-mindedness and wanting to accomplish a goal. Which we usually herald the idea of being single-minded and wanting to accomplish a goal, but sometimes when you are sailing right into that and you know that the winds are against you, as they say, a little caution is in order, and experience should be listened to. But we know that, and we oftentimes, though, don't have a choice. We just have to ride along and be prepared to try to help to pick up the pieces when things go bad. And we can pray, though, that they won't. But and that's what we should be doing. We should be praying that we won't. But there's going to be more to come up about this as we go through the week. We'll build on that whole thing. So that's where we're going to leave you at today. Oftentimes people just don't want to listen. And that's what's going on here with Paul. They just don't want to listen. They got to hurry up. We've got to make a deadline. And so we're going to rush through it. And take some risks that we shouldn't take. So that's what's going on here. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Catherine and I are going out to Shady Oaks today. So praise God that we're going to be able to go in there in spite of them having changed the restrictions. They are still going to allow us to go in to do worship. And that is a blessing, and we are looking forward to blessing the folks out at Shady Oaks. But anytime that Catherine and I go to Shady Oaks, excuse me, I'm pretty convinced they bless us more than we bless them, because it's just wonderful to go out there and worship with them. So have a very blessed day, and please, please, as you're going about your day, be a blessing to someone today. Talk to them about Jesus, all right? We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll talk more about Paul's sailing. See you then. Bye-bye.